welcome. You're watching Primetime Debate. I'm Tamanna. Demonetization, GST, Vikas and reservation are the key political touch points playing out in Gujarat right now. With the assembly elections barely 2 months away, top leaders of the ruling BJP and the primary opposition Congress are making every effort to woo Gujaratis. Congress Vice President Rahul Gandhi is on a tour of the state, and Prime Minister Narendra Modi has inaugurated a slew of development projects across the state last weekend. The narrative of this election campaign has been dominated to some extent by macroeconomic factors like the impact of demonetization and GST on growth and business, but state-specific issues like reservations and the plight of farmers will also be crucial. Another important factor is Prime Minister Modi and Congress Vice President Rahul Gandhi leading the campaign for their respective parties, turning it into a straight fight between the two. But before we discuss the dynamics of the Gujarat elections, let's listen into key sound bites from the electoral battlefield today.
आपको सेल्फी लेने में बड़े मजे आ रहे हैं। नहीं बाबा सुनो, आपको सेल्फी लेने में बड़े मजे आ रहे हैं, मगर उस फोन ने चाइनीज युवा को जॉब दिया है, हिंदुस्तानी युवा को जॉब नहीं दिया है। मोदी जी का फोकस जॉब्स पे नहीं है, और आपके भविष्य के लिए, हम सब के भविष्य के लिए देश के फोकस को जॉब्स पे लाना पड़ेगा।
विकास के ऊपर भाषण देते हैं, लेकिन शायद हमारे देश के कई नागरिकों को इस बात का एहसास नहीं है कि राहुल जी जिस लोकसभा क्षेत्र के प्रतिनिधि हैं, उस लोकसभा क्षेत्र में आज तक कलेक्टर का ऑफिस तक नहीं बना है। वो भी बनाने का सौभाग्य भारतीय जनता पार्टी को प्राप्त हुआ। राहुल जी भले ही गुजरात में विकास का उपहास करते हों, लेकिन सही मजाक उन्होंने अपने लोकसभा क्षेत्र के लोगों के साथ किया। रिश्तों की दुहाई देते हुए आज तक वोट तो बहुत बटोरे उन्होंने, लेकिन विकास रूपी एक भी कार्य वो जनता के समक्ष कर नहीं पाए।
Okay, now joining me on the debate this evening is Yashwant Deshmukh, his MD and Chief Editor of C Voter Broadcast, Mahesh Langa, Senior Assistant Editor at The Hindu, and Neerja Chaudhary, political commentator and columnist. Welcome all. I'm going first to Mahesh because he's on the ground and has been tracking for some time what the mood is in Gujarat. Mahesh, most of us who are obviously not in Gujarat are seeing a lot of the pitch through social media. Who has how much crowd in their rallies, what are the key, quotes coming out, the comments, etc. But what is the pulse on the ground that you are sensing?
Well, in terms of pulse on the ground in Gujarat, no doubt BJP is well placed to, ahead of the elections. But in last 1 month, narrative has changed a lot, and it appears that Congress has got its act together, and otherwise a faction-ridden Congress appears to be united this time. Rahul Gandhi, is touring. This is his second leg of, Yatra, Nausarjan Yatra that is touring. Earlier he visited Saurashtra. For 3 days he was in Saurashtra. Now he is in central Gujarat. So, and on the government BJP side, there are multiple challenges that party is facing. So there is, as of now, in August, when Rajya Sabha election was held, and Ahmed Patel had a very, very tough fight. Congress had virtually split. Shankar Singh Waghela left the party along with 14 other legislators. And at that time, Congress was, in dumps. But now it seems that Congress has, has got its act together, and not only on social media but also on the ground, Congress visibility of the party has increased, and it's Rahul Gandhi is drawing a lot of crowds in the areas he is touring in, and on the other hand, except Narendra Modi, Prime Minister Modi, who remains the most popular leader in the state, other party leaders and ministers, legislators of the party are facing public protests. That their Narmada Yatra was not, that successful in terms of getting crowds. Their, Gaurav Yatra is also facing a lot of protests in some of the pockets where BJP is, where particularly in Patidar pockets.
Okay. So I'm glad you brought up the Patidar angle, and that's something we'll talk about ahead as well. But Neerja, if I can come to you, ma'am, there's a lot of talk about the Congress giving a tough fight, but does it really mean that the BJP will face any kind of a setback, or is what we're looking for whether the BJP will reach its stated target of 150 seats?
Look, that's 150 seats is a target Amit Shah has set for Gujarat, Mission 150. Now, whether the BJP will reach that target, is anybody's guess. But the next 2 months are going to be very critical. October, November, elections are due in the first week of December. Again, if Mr. Amit Shah is to be believed. And the growing restiveness has been there. A lot of questions have been asked. Demonetization post the implementation of the GST, for which the government was not as prepared as it should have been. It has made the small and medium entrepreneurs unhappy. Even the RSS chief Mohan Bhagwat talked about it in his Dasera address, and the government set up the council, and some amendments have been made, really keeping in mind Gujarat elections. Now, Khakra and that kind of thing is symbolic of the rates coming down on. But is it going to cut any ice? That remains to be seen. Plus the unhappiness in the Patidar community, which has been going on, plus the unhappiness amongst the Dalits and the new leadership that has thrown up. So farmers, Dalits, minorities, Patidars, 22 years of anti-incumbency should have given a huge advantage to the Congress, but that is not the kind of feedback one is getting. It should have been a clean sweep for the Congress. So why is that so? Will the momentum pick up in the next 6, 7 to 8 weeks? Or will we see the return of BJP, maybe with a reduced majority? I don't see 150 figure the BJP hitting this time. But the Modi magic still remains, his personal credibility still remains, and on the other side there is no big chehra, no big face to take him on. That is the biggest minus point of the Congress party, apart from the fact that it's been late in getting off the ground. But of course, as has been pointed out, Rahul Gandhi's rallies have had more crowds. The BJP meetings have not had that kind of rousing response that we used to see earlier. Now, how this is going to pan out in terms of numbers remains to be seen, but by and large, as of today, I cannot say what would happen 6 or 7 weeks hence. As of today, the general feeling is, the BJP is going to make it, but with a reduced majority.
Well, just maybe make it across the line, and there's just 1 or 2 surveys which are out now, the latest one as of August, and we'll play out some of those figures as well. But before that, I want to go to Yashwant Deshmukh. Is it more of a perception game right now? And the point that Neerja mentioned, that Rahul Gandhi may be getting some claps and, some crowd, but without a face, and with Shankar Singh Waghela out of the equation, can that really translate into a real challenge for the BJP?
Well, you know what, Tamanna, it's also about the pure arithmetic number that we have in front of us. Let's not forget that the BJP, it's 22 years, and when you talk about 22 long years, over a period of 2 decades, 3 decades, we have seen in other states, the leading party might have been in a position to win the election after election, but generally the vote margin keeps on going down. While in Gujarat, the unique thing is that BJP has by and large maintained the gap with the Congress for a really long time. Say, for example, the peak of 2002 victory, which was arguably the most polarized election ever seen in Gujarat, BJP lead was almost about 10% in Gujarat over the Congress. While 10 years down the lane in 2012, that lead was still about 9%. So the income, even after that much of incumbency, the gap between the BJP and the Congress in terms of the concrete vote shares has been quite high, and that is what actually is very interesting and very important to understand about what drives on the ground in terms of the core votes. So while the BJP might be thinking, I mean, there have been issues with the Dalits in Gujarat, but for that matter, Dalit was never the BJP vote bank to start with in Gujarat, number one. Patidars, absolutely yes, that is certainly a thing which BJP should worry on. But to keep in mind that last two elections, and particularly the last election, Keshubhai Patel's party actually polled about 4%, which took the votes away from the BJP. What we need to know, if those 4% after Keshubhai Patel joining the BJP back, his party being merged with the BJP, whether those 4% are coming to BJP or they are rather going to Congress, and if BJP faces further erosion of Patidar votes, and whether if all this actually come up into a kind of around 6% swing for the Congress, which could turn the tables. And that's a huge swing as far as the ground realities are concerned. That kind of swing can be observed only if your grassroots organization structure actually expands further. Right now, the only plus point or the default point which the Congress can actually think to gain on is the Patidar movement. Beyond that, and that is a kind of more like a default thing, that something has happened and they are trying to cash on it, but it has nothing to do with the organizational structure or organization growth of the Congress in Gujarat. Rather, the factor of Shankar Singh Waghela coming out of the Congress.
Even on Patidars, you have the Patidars, and I'm going to come to Mahesh on this little detail. The Patidars and the Kshatriyas right now have formed two sort of very prominent groups, and both want the opposite things, which is why neither the BJP nor the Congress has promised the Patidars what they want. And I just want to add to that the factor today of Anandi Ben saying that she will not stand for elections. Is that also going to be a cause of worry for the BJP as far as the Patidars are concerned?
Ben, I think her letter to the party president, expressing her unwillingness to contest the assembly election is in line with what she did last year when she resigned from the post of chief ministership. So that she was anyway not expected to contest the assembly elections. But yes. Now BJP, except her, BJP doesn't have a Patidar, face state who is acceptable across the state. So that is of course a cause of concern for the party. But now it seems that in BJP wants to do what Congress did some 30 years back. Stitching together alliance of tribals and all OBC communities. So we have 147 OBC communities constituting more than 50% of the population. So BJP wants to play that card, and that's why that they are promoting OBC leaders also in organization, and also it seems that in ticket distribution also the buzz is that more OBC faces will be given the tickets instead of Patidars. How that plays out electorally, well, it remains to be seen.
Okay.
But on Patidar thing, in 2015 we had local elections, district panchayats and municipal elections. Urban areas are stronghold bastions of BJP. So BJP swept all municipal corporations, 8 municipal corporations. But at the same time, Congress swept rural areas. Congress won
No,
24
but like
of
you're
the
mentioning, in municipal corporations, BJP has done well. And since we have just a few minutes left, I want to wrap up, Neerja ma'am, with one broader comment and one reason why everyone is so excited in the Gujarat elections, because it's coming a couple of years away from 2019. Are we seeing a build-up to what we may see in 2019? Because the focus here has been on Prime Minister Modi campaigning for the BJP and Rahul Gandhi really taking it upon himself to push the Congress's cause. Is this sort of like a dress rehearsal for 2019?
I think like Uttar Pradesh, Gujarat is going to be equally important, as important for the BJP and Mr. Modi as it is going to be for Rahul Gandhi and the Congress party and the entire opposition. Because the Gujarat victory or loss is going to set the tempo for the 2019 elections more than any other state election that is due next year. And the reason is very clear, because if, for instance, hypothetically speaking, BJP loses Gujarat, then that's going to be a big feather in the cap of the opposition and of the Congress party. And it's going to mean a downslide, a very clear, visible downslide for the BJP and the policies it has pursued in the last 1 year. That includes demonetization, GST, loss of jobs, etc., etc. Suppose, for instance, the BJP wins Gujarat.
Yes.
Then that is an endorsement of what Mr. Modi stands for, other policies is pursued, and it's going to step up the momentum for 2019 as also for the state assembly elections next year. So either way, it's very important for both sides.
I'm afraid I'll have to leave it at that because we've run out of time, but thank you so much, Mahesh, Yashwant Deshmukh and Neerja Chaudhary for joining us on that conversation. The bar, in fact, is set high for the BJP because just a win will not do. Even a win with perhaps lesser numbers would be seen as a challenge. We'll leave it at that. Thank you so much for joining us on this section of Primetime Debate. Well, the real estate sector has weathered many a storm in the last year. From demonetization to GST to RERA, all have had their impact on both sale of units as well as new projects. But after a rough patch, developers say there are green shoots showing. Purva Chitnis of Bloomberg Quint reports on the hopes for revival in the real estate sector ahead of the festive season. A spurt in inquiries for apartments and a spike in flat bookings ahead of Diwali have raised hopes for the otherwise stagnant real estate industry, and developers have thrown in discounts to draw home buyers. Mumbai-based Lodha Group said it had already done business of over 400 crore rupees in the past 15 days and is seeing good traction for its projects. The realty market has been hit by a slowdown for 3 years. It was particularly sluggish in the past year due to demonetization, implementation of the Real Estate Regulatory Act, and the Goods and Services Tax.
This time, I think it will be better than the last, because last year was a rock bottom in my opinion because of the disruption, the policy disruption. But then it's not the potential.
The affordable housing segment has generated maximum traction, mainly driven by government's push for housing for all by 2022 and also the lowering interest rates. The spotlight has now moved on to the sub-1 crore category projects in cities and towns across the country.
Bottom line is this, that people have started taking decisions post-RERA, post-demonetization, post-GST. Yes, now buyers have come out in the market to actually buy.
With business showing signs of recovery, builders are enticing customers with offers. Developers are offering discounts of 10 to 20% as they expect a large number of inquiries to translate into sales. However, luxury home sales are still struggling because buyers are optimistic about a price correction. Bureau Report, Bloomberg Quint. Now, even as these hopes for revival are being spoken about, fresh data has captured some of the effects on the property market in the last 2 quarters. According to Prop Equity, housing sales fell 35% between July to September as compared to the previous quarter. Meanwhile, new launches have also dropped to 83% Q-on-Q. Now, to talk about the health of the real estate space in this pre-festive season, I'm joined by Niranjan Hiranandani, co-founder and managing director of Hiranandani Group, and Samir Jasuja, founder and CEO of Prop Equity. Welcome to both of you. Thank you for speaking with Bloomberg Quint. Mr. Hiranandani, your first impact on this whole talk about whether green shoots are now being seen or not, because in the report my colleague Purva filed, there is a lot of talk about increased inquiries. One doesn't know whether they will really convert into sales.
No, so there is definitely sales taking place. In fact, there are good sales in the last 1 week or so. We do see a turnaround which has definitely happened, not only in the case of green shoots in terms of buildings which have started, but we have stock which has got occupation certificate where you don't have to pay GST at all. There's huge inquiry in that base also. And second, let me tell you that we are only talking affordable housing to have demand. It's not true at all. We do see even the larger size tenements being sold. However, they are more being sold at the time when they are close to ready or they are absolutely ready. But I must tell you, the last 10 days or so, the sales in our office is pretty high in terms of the residential inquiries, and conversions into sales also has taken place. So I think there is not a little green shoot, but it's really showing up in terms of it, of all the categories, including affordable housing.
All right, Mr. Jasuja, I just want to come to you on a bit about what your report says. And it says, of course, that new home launches have dipped by 83% from 24,900 units to about 4,313 units. Does this, in a sense, work out positively for buyers who are waiting for project completion? Because developers are now focusing on finishing the projects already in the pipeline?
Yes, absolutely. First of all, the developers are focusing on their past projects, ensuring that they get completed. Some of them get out of the RERA ambit, really, because most of the states still haven't implemented RERA properly, unlike Maharashtra. But there are multiple reasons why developers are concentrating on executing current projects. First being that they get out of the GST ambit. Second being that they get out of the RERA ambit. And thirdly, that there is an oversupply on the market. So there is no real need right now to launch more new projects when there is a lot of existing stock out there. And lastly, that there is a lot of demand that is now trickling in the ready-to-move-in segment and the nearly completing segment. People have actually lost faith in the under-construction segment, where there have been unnecessary delays and very long periods of delays, especially in the north region. But India, per se, whether it's tier 2 or tier 1 cities, the delays have been there across the board. So that's why there is demand trickling in now in the end-use segment, ready-to-move-in segment, and green shoots are being seen. And it's very positive that the developers are looking at ensuring that the existing inventory gets over before they launch newer stock.
No, so, Samir, just one more question. These green shoots that we're talking about, what is propelling this in your view? Because as per your reports, it's not like prices have seen any great drop. The drop in prices has bottomed out, you say, and there's just about a 1% difference quarter on quarter on the average prices. So what really do you think is propelling this renewed interest in buying homes?
Right. So first of all, the drop that we're talking about in prices, the real drop has been much more because this is primary market data. In the secondary markets, prices have dropped a lot more. Plus B, that, you've had prices dropping for the last 2 years or so. So now the kind of prices have bottomed out, first of all. Second of all, there's been a lot of pent-up demand existing for the last 2 years, which had to come in at some point in time or the other. And lastly, that now there is a lot of ready assets that are built out, ready units that are built out, which gives the customer a lot of comfort because he doesn't have to risk execution delays. He can actually pay only either EMI or rent. And plus the prices have become quite affordable because a lot of projects are now ready, which are in the mid market, and the prices have actually corrected over there by 30-35% over the last 2.5 years. That's the prime reason.
Sure. Mr. Hiranandani, I'm just wondering what this new marketplace is doing for, the financial comfort for builders. A lot of times new projects was from where builders were getting fresh capital, and then, they were completing their ongoing projects. You're focusing now on completion, you're giving discounts, you're giving freebies. Is that, hard on your balance sheets?
No. I mentioned it earlier on your TV also, that there are different stages at which builders are. They are either overstressed, they're stressed, those who are in normal, and those who have sufficient space in their balance sheet to be able to take up any further projects in spite of the fact and pick up more loans. Now, many times the channels have been talking about big builders being able to manage it. The truth is not there. The truth is there are big builders who are stressed, there are small builders who are stressed, there are big builders who are not stressed, and there are small builders not stressed. So the story which goes around before of big builders versus small builders is a total lie. I've seen the biggest of biggest builders get into difficulty and the smallest of them doing extremely well. So the situation in the marketplace has changed substantially. There are builders doing extremely well in terms of being able to take up debt, complete their projects, sell the apartments, and to be able to handle the credit situation. There are builders who are not able to handle the situation. So the distinction is not about being big or small anymore. My view is it's about those who are able to manage their debt and their projects and their approvals and their delivery well, or they are not able to handle their approvals, construction, delivery, and possession of quality of products to the marketplace. I think it's a rationalization of the situation which is happening, and of course you can see it in the newspapers and various people.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm just going to end with one last comment from both of you, and Mr. Hiranandani, I'll start with you. Where do you see prices going from here for those who want to invest in property for their own end use, or even as an investment end?
My view is that the whole thing was for favoring the stock market in the last 12 months, because the stock market had really shot up with the investments by FIIs and also by mutual funds. I think that story is slowly ending. So I think people will come back to the real estate market now that RERA is there. Full disclosure is available. Investments will come back to the real estate sector. However, a lot of people had postponed buying of apartments in the last 2 years, as Mr. Jasuja just told us, because the position was not clear. Everybody was waiting, let RERA come, let GST happen, let other things happen, and then we will buy our apartment or invest into the real estate sector. Those stories are now over. So people know which are the good developers, which are the good projects. It is available on the RERA website. It is available from the consultants that we do. And of course, the media has played a big role in about bringing this transparency.
Sure. So
I think today, the people who want to invest and buy are coming in.
All right. So that is about demand. But my question, Samir, and if you could, sign off with that, where do you see prices going from here?
Look, I clearly think that the worst is over. Secondly, I don't think prices are going to move up very much in the next 1 year or so. When we talk about recovery, we talk about price recovery and we talk about absorption recovery. I think the first thing that's going to happen to the market is going to be the absorption recovery. We're going to start seeing absorption levels pick up, both in the ready segment, which has already started, and hopefully in another 6 months or so, we should see some revival in the under construction segment. On the pricing side, I would say Indian real estate for the time being is an end user market, and this is probably the best time for end users to come out and buy. They won't get better deals, and now the developers will only get stronger and stronger from here after either cleaning up their balance sheets or making sure that the delivery happens, or the developers that can't deliver will go bust, and there will be a lot of consolidation that has already started to happen in the market. But from an investor point of view, I would still say that investors will start looking at the market from at least a year from now.
All right, thanks so much, Samir Jasuja and Mr. Niranjan Hiranandani for speaking with us. So green shoots are showing in the real estate market. Prices are not going to move upwards anytime soon, at least for the next 1 year. So this may be a good time to shop around and look at any investments you want to make.